Hunted. What was slain Auditor Mpho Mafole and his team probing from within the City of Ekurhuleni when he was shot and killed in Kempton Park? Find out next from our senior investigative journalist, Sikonathi Mantshantsha.
Mpho Mafole actually, his report was scathing and on the part of the municipality, and found that there were irregularities that exposed the municipality to litigation by the losing bidders, exposed the municipality to irregular expenditure. And of course, he also highlighted in his report that this had the potential to derail service delivery and therefore jeopardize the municipality's business.
Later in our trending topic, the PA unseats the ANC in a startling Soweto by-election. And finally, South Africa's got such a rich rail legacy with On This Day in South African History, our regular segment at the end of the show.
New episodes of The Lead air Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m.
Looking to give your business the edge? Well, advertise on this very podcast. Mail us, thelead@24.com. My name's Graeme Raubenheimer. This is The Lead, and this is the South African story. Moving to our top story today, there have been plenty of question marks hovering over the rather puzzling murder of Ekurhuleni financial auditor Mpho Mafole this year. Now, perhaps finally some of them can be answered in today's catch-up with our senior investigative journalist Sikonathi Mantshantsha. He's live from our Johannesburg studios now. Sikonathi, unjani?
Sepila unjani kra?
Tiapile namwena. Indiyacela, finally we can sort of start getting a better picture of everything here. It's very eerily sort of mirroring what happened to Babita Diekaran. But before we get into that, just remind our listeners, Mr. Mafole, he was soon to be married. He was a financial investigator. And then one day shot and killed outside his Kempton Park home. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. Mpho Mafole started working for the municipality on the 1st of April 2025 as the chief internal auditor. And he was a man full of life with a promising future. He was engaged to be married to his fiancée this coming December. He paid lobola last December, and his life was cut short on the 30th of June when he was shot dead by 4 assassins.
Sure. So he's earlier in the day in terms of the timeline, and often this is one of the hallmarks of News 24's investigations, is that we often so expertly put together what exactly came in the run-up to these incidents. And in this particular case, we know that he was at a meeting earlier in the day with the City of Ekurhuleni. Various officials were in attendance there. And then he was out in his, I think it was his dad's Toyota Yaris. Is that right?
He was driving a black Toyota Yaris that belongs to his mother. And right on the day he was tragically murdered, he had been holding a meeting with at least two of his colleagues in the municipality, where they were meeting with the new board and management of Erwat, which is Eastern Water, Ekurhuleni's wastewater sanitation company, at that hotel at the Radisson Blu. While he was in that meeting, there were people waiting for him outside who followed him at the end of the meeting, and a few kilometers up the road shot and killed him.
Nothing taken from the vehicle. Is that new information?
It's not new in the sense that all that was ever reported was that Mr. Mafole was murdered and people got away. But we checked with our sources what, if anything, was taken from his vehicle. We stated that line in the story specifically to show that this was a hit. It was not a robbery gone wrong, anything like that whatsoever. Nothing was taken from his vehicle, which tells you that only he was targeted. And of course, Graeme, in our previous story or stories on this Ekurhuleni municipality situation, we have stated that another auditor was killed 18 months before Mr. Mafole was killed. Exactly in the same manner, he was driving on the road when a car pulled up next to him at a traffic light, and they shot and killed him multiple shots were fired. He was with someone else in that vehicle at that particular point. This is Simnikiwe Mapini, who also worked for the finance department of that municipality. Again, nothing was taken from his car. People came up and shot him and left. They didn't even try to hurt his passenger, who was one of his colleagues. Again, 3 weeks or 3 months before Mr. Mapini's murder, this is now in September 2023, 3 weeks before, 3 months before Mr. Mapini's murder, on the 13th of September, the chief financial officer of that municipality was again shot, again in Jamestown. He fortunately survived. Again, it was taken from his car. So it was just an attempt on his life. He got away and lived to tell the story. It appears by all means that there were no serious injuries on his side, but he was wounded by the bullets. So these 3 Ekurhuleni Finance Department employees, 2 of them have been shot and killed. Nothing was stolen in their vehicles, all 3 of them. That tells you that it is not, there was no attempt at hijacking. There was no attempt at stealing their belongings. It was, they were all just hits.
Absolutely, and the theme speaks for itself. Nothing peaceful about the alleged City of Peace, Sikonathi. Last time we spoke, you had let on very subtly that you had understood that Mpho was looking into a major contract right before he was sadly had lost his life. What can you finally reveal to the lead listeners today, as per your reporting on the front page of News 24, about that specific tender that Mpho and his team were tasked with, doing the simple internal audit due diligence before tenders can reach the final sort of advanced stage? What did they find, Sikonathi?
Graeme, today's story on the Ekurhuleni municipality, and yes, it's a city of peace. That's what Ekurhuleni means in the Chitsonga language. We today traced the last week Mpho Mafole was alive, and it was that he was tasked by the municipality to audit this tender, a 1.8 billion rand mobile chemical toilets tender, which is a multi-year tender that gets awarded every year, where people supply these toilets to squatter camps where there is no sanitation infrastructure. This one was for 3 years and worth 1.8 billion rands. 223 companies applied or tendered. Only 15 were awarded. The municipality on the 20th of June asked Mr. Mafole and his team of 4 auditors to check if the tender was awarded properly, fairly, transparently, in line with the supply chain management processes and in line with the constitution, the principles of fairness and equity and equity, and to give the to give the assurance so that the municipality can go ahead and confirm the award to the 15 companies. What Mpho Mafole did then was work on that instruction the whole week, and he submitted his report on the 26th of June 2025.
And very importantly, essentially that due diligence in such a massive contract that this is, and such a contested space, their main challenge, and you so brilliantly put this in your latest piece, was to find the risk of any potential sort of legal challenges. So if a certain company is awarded the tender at the end of the day, are they at risk of possibly having the other parties that were not successful possibly taking this and challenging this in court, which there has been quite a lot of in various cases in South Africa seen, it seems, this year. What did they find in that regard, Sikonathi? What were the risks that they identified in this report that Mpho and his team handed in?
It's a lucrative tender, Graeme, in that 1.8 billion rand over 3 years is at stake. And you can see at the number of applicants, the bidders, 223 that wanted a slice of this. So it's very contested, and Mafole, the municipality, wanted the assurance that please, can we confirm this award? What risks are we facing? Did we really do what we needed to do? Mpho Mafole actually, his report was scathing and on the part of the municipality, and found that there were irregularities that exposed the municipality to litigation by the losing bidders, exposed the municipality to irregular expenditure, in that if the losing bidders contested the awards and won, the municipality would incur a lot of irregular expenditure for those that it would have awarded. And of course, he also highlighted in his report that this had the potential to derail service delivery and therefore jeopardize the municipality's business. That's what he found, and he submitted his report on the 26th of June.
Sure. What's even more concerning in the reporting, Sikonathi, is that there's this other committee within the City of Ekurhuleni that you've identified as running parallel to the main bid committee that sits and identifies which company through the various criteria, through the various scoring mechanisms before they get the tender. You've identified that there's this other shadow committee that I'm calling it a shadow committee because, according to what appears to be the municipal PFMA regulations, they're not supposed to be there. What did you find here?
Mafole, in his audit report, said to his chief financial officer and to his audit executive, the people who had requested him to conduct the investigation, he said, look, you guys, there is a committee here now that is called Bid Pre-Evaluation Committee, which is not part of the structure of the municipality. It has no role to play here. It has not been properly constituted, and there is no accountability here. It brings into question all the work that has been done by the two committees that are actually part of the supply chain management processes, which are the Bid Evaluation Committee and the Bid Adjudication Committee. This pre-bid evaluation committee has no place here. If you want to have such a committee, please, it must be properly constituted, in that the supply chain management policy of the municipality must be amended to make provision for this and state clearly on what basis and who qualifies to sit on that committee. And then the municipal council must approve the amendment to the supply chain management committee, because as is, this committee that has no place in the structure has actually made contributions that have been taken into consideration, making the whole process irregular and exposing the municipality.
How critical has it become, the need, Sikonathi, for these mobile chemical toilets in the City of Ekurhuleni? I mean, the last time I did any sort of reporting there was during the lockdown. I was really shocked about the state of Germiston, for example. Kempton Park still looked a bit okay in the city centre, so to speak, but definitely really rough around the edges. But specifically in the townships, and we spoke about this last time, there's a dire need for service delivery, right?
Graeme, these chemical toilets, there's a growing need every day, precisely because there is a conflict of interest. By the way, the people who live in these squatter camps that are popping up all over Gauteng are actually voters. And, local governments need people living in those cities to vote for them. So you have a situation, an untenable situation, where any piece of land can be invaded and the municipality follows thereafter and says, okay, we'll supply you with the services. And in this instance, the first thing they do, of course, is to hire these chemical toilets, mobile toilets that will be put to service these people before any sanitation infrastructure has been built. And they have to bring water tankers to deliver water to these people on a regular basis. These squatter settlements, which are illegal, by the way, are popping up every day in Gauteng, and in particular in this major metropolitan municipality to the east of Gauteng, where in the large cities such as Germiston and indeed Johannesburg, people are tired of paying rent or are unable to pay rent to landlords. So they just erect their shacks wherever they can find an open space. The conflict of interest arises in the sense that they are in wards where people actually go out and vote, and the same councillors that want their votes should be the councillors that say, excuse me, this land is not available, and therefore we are not going to service, let's demolish it. That is not happening. What does happen instead is that the municipality keeps legitimizing all these settlements and has to award these contracts, and that's where the conflict lies, in the sense that it has been proven that the municipalities, executives and councillors actually award these tenders to people with political connections, to companies that benefit the very same councillors that should be nipping the invasion of land in the bud.
This special investigative series, led by yourself, Sikonathi, is being called Hunted. I said this in the beginning of our conversation. Of course, there will be some similarities off the face of it, akin to the Silenced investigation series, looking into the murder of slain whistleblower Babita Deokaran. So far, it's early days. I know there's plenty to come. What's striking you as this looks like another chapter unfolding in a different city, in a different department, a government sphere, that is so similar to Babita's case? What have you found so far that makes you go, wow, here we are again?
Graeme, absolutely. I must state here right up front, one, thank you to the subscribers who actually have made it possible for us to have the resources to follow this kind of story, which we have been working on it for the past 3 months, and finally we are able to bring some information to the public. I have been working hand in glove with Jeff Weeks, who actually worked and followed the Babita story for the last 4.5 years. There are gross similarities in the sense that Babita herself was an investigator in the finance department of the Gauteng Health Department, who realized some money was getting stolen. The municipality was spending absurdly high amounts of money on things that are quite questionable. This is the same pattern that the late Mpho Mafole actually discovered. This is the same pattern that Simnikiwe Mapini, who was his colleague and who was shot and killed. He worked for the Ekurhuleni Finance Department as an auditor. He was shot and killed on the 8th of December 2023. Again, they were working on the same thing. So there is a pattern where honest civil servants who stand up and point out irregularities and possible corruption end up with bullets in their bodies. It's a really serious and tragic situation that unfortunately at Ekurhuleni, Mpho Mafole was the third person to be shot, second to be murdered. One of those people that were shot did survive and works today still in the municipality. You have to wonder whether people are safe at all working in these things, where they will try to protect the taxpayer fund.
Yeah, and again, like so many public-facing people who have unfortunately made headlines in this country, like Babita, like Boer, losing their lives in the process, they've often been described as genuinely beautiful people who had a great moral compass, and Mpho was no different, right?
Absolutely, Mpho was no different. He worked for the Auditor General of South Africa for 15 years before he was employed by the municipality 3 months prior to his murder. And in that 15 years, he had also audited that same municipality as part of the Auditor General's work. So he knew the municipality well. And the municipality knew him well because he had been on their account. By the time they recruited him, they employed him starting in April this year. They knew what they were getting. It appears, obviously, that not everyone was pleased to have an auditor of his caliber coming to investigate. Now, sitting inside the municipal office, having unfettered access to the municipality's documents, where he was going to see things that people would have preferred he didn't. And that culminated, as I have said, Graeme, with his murder on the 30th of June. Let's state this, 3 days after he submitted the report that pointed out irregularities. We are by no means at this point able to say that was the reason that Mr. Mafole was murdered, but that is the major contract that he worked on, 1.8 billion rands worth.
Just to end off, and any comment from the City of Ekurhuleni at this point? Any luck?
We did not ask the City of Ekurhuleni for any comment before publishing this report because there was a serious risk that the wrong people would know we had this kind of information. We had to do what we did to publish the story. But I can assure the readers and listeners of News 24 that tomorrow we have requested the municipality's comment on a follow-up. In this story, we've just pointed out what Mafole found. The story that's coming tomorrow is what did the municipality do or not do about the report that he gave them. We have asked them for comment. We're getting that story published tomorrow. And I can again say there is a whole lot more coming that we have been working on, Jeff Wicks and myself and a few other colleagues that are helping us in the background. There is a lot coming. What did the municipality do when Mpho Mafole pointed out the irregularities and said, guys, this is wrong?
Yeah, buckle in, guys. This is serious work. A lot of risk in itself with reporting on matters like this. There's a clear sort of theme or trend of people losing their lives, in key municipal positions. Watch this space. Sikonathi, I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for your time today. Go well, and we'll chat again.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Trending topic.
Moving to our trending topic now, and it's potentially just a political taste of things to come. The Patriotic Alliance, the PA, has unseated the ANC in a historic by-election in Noordgesig, Soweto. 1,756 residents there voted for the PA's Ismail Steenkamp last week, equating to a 30.36% share of the ward's voting pie, with the ANC getting just 1,302 ballots and the DA among the least with only 256. Steenkamp told News 24's Siyamthanda Qapa that the PA's win was no accident, as the party's presence in the streets, motorcades, prayer services, and a very clear message that all people need is work got him the residents' buy-in in the end.
So for me, coming in as a ward councillor, we need to speak about the people. We need to speak about a family that is suffering where nobody's working. We need to speak about a youngster that's on drugs, whether you're colored or black. It doesn't matter. We need to give assistance to those youngsters. So for me, it's going to be building an all-inclusive ward.
Meanwhile, the ANC's footprint in Josie, quite evidently, continues to fade away. What say you? Drop us a voice note. 072 562 3179.
Listen Up is News 24's sharp new podcast, where hosts Tim Cohen and Mark Barnes cut through the clutter with bold takes and unfiltered insight.
They're not fighting for the good of South Africa. And so this is degenerated into a series of tit-for-tat spats. How's that for a bit of poetry early in the morning?
Smart, punchy, and unapologetically real.
President Ramaphosa has explained why he did it, and the reason he did it was because he said that people weren't allowed to go to America, and then Andrew Whitfield did, and then there's a dispute about whether or not he asked.
Catch new episodes of Listen Up every Tuesday on News 24 or wherever you get your podcasts.
I know a lot about this. Not really.
Yeah,
but
there we go.
Here goes.
The accused for a change. Yeah.
And finally,
well, ending off now with on this day in South African history, the 20th of October, 1894. On this very day, the construction of the Delagoa Bay Railway line to Pretoria was finally completed. Now, this line was intended to open for traffic in November of that year, but the official inauguration only took place the following July. Built soon after the First Anglo-Boer War, the railway was a key project for the then Boer presidents Burgers and Creer, designed to give the Transvaal Republic direct access to the sea through Delagoa Bay and independence from British-controlled ports in both Natal and the Cape. Now, after the discovery of gold on the Witwatersrand in 1886, of course, this route became even more critical. The railway had finally replaced the long, hazardous ox wagon journeys through reed regions plagued by malaria, tsetse flies, and even lions, marking a major step forward in South Africa's economic development in the period. Just a note from the editor's desk, unfortunately, just to say that there's only 2 more episodes of The Lead this week. That is the Tuesday and Wednesday editions, and then I'm taking some time off. I'm getting married this coming weekend, can you believe it? Finally tying the knot after many years. Something I'm very much chuffed, looking forward to. Still, you can get in contact with us at any time. Feel free to drop us a mail, thelead@24.com. If you want your business to be advertised in this very show, you can get in contact with our salespeople via that particular mail account, and we'll get you in connection with the relevant discussions there. My name's Graeme Raubenheimer, and so long as there's trusted news first, we'll always have The Lead.